Hello, hello. I'm Morgan.
I'm Tuesday, and you're listening to the Naughty Girls podcast, the show that deep dives into the moments that define early 2000s pop culture.
If you caught our last episode, we mentioned we were following the drama surrounding Jamie Lynn Spears' recently published memoir. A lot more information and allegations have come out since we last recorded, not only from her sister Britney Spears, but also her old Zoey 101 castmates. And this has led to a lot of public criticism of Jamie Lynn.
So that's going to be the focus of our show today. We're going to give you guys a timeline of significant events that lead up to and explain her recent fall from grace. We have done our best to piece it all together, and we flagged some of the major inconsistencies between what Jamie Lynn has said about her time on Nickelodeon and her relationship with her family versus what the other people involved have claimed.
We're going to keep it honest, but we're also going to try to discuss this as sensitively as possible because some of it relates to Britney's conservatorship.
But before we jump in, Morgan, I got a question for you. Say you were a 2000 celebrity and you were gracing the cover of a tabloid this week. What would the headline read?
Oh gosh, that is a fantastic question. Okay, let me think. Okay, probably something along the lines of Morgan finally found her true love and it's not her fiance. Little clickbait there.
Okay.
So, a little backstory. I am a huge dog lover. My fiance and I, we bought a house, and I've been really seriously thinking about getting a dog. We're both dog lovers, so it just seems right. So, from time to time, I go on, Humane Society websites, rescue websites, and I just browse and see what kind of dogs are available for adoption. And last week, I came across the most precious little angel.
Tell me
And
about her.
oh my gosh, she is so cute. So she's an 8-week-old lab mix. She looks like a lab shepherd, I think. She's
Mhm.
got the cutest little markings, and I fell in love immediately. And I've been looking at her picture every day since I think it was like Friday that I discovered her of last week.
Oh my God, does she have a name?
Her name is, I don't know who names these dogs, but her name is PacSun, like the store.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, but what in the Kylie and Kendall is that name?
I have no idea, but it makes me actually kind of love her even more because her name is that. I would obviously change it if I
You
got her.
need to save her and change her name, please. Do you think you're
Oh,
gonna get her?
honestly, I keep going back and forth, and unfortunately, I don't think the timing is right, but I'm hoping that maybe later on this fall, once things kind of settle down with things going on in our life, like, we have the wedding coming up in summer.
Yeah.
And so once things are a little bit more settled, I think I'm going to seriously start looking, and who knows, maybe she'll still be up for adoption, but I highly doubt it because she's just adorable and she's probably going to go super quickly. But
You never know. I mean, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
it's true. It's true. I keep going back and forth, but I have definitely fallen head over heels in love with this little puppy. So that
Yeah.
would be my headline. And, you gotta love the
That's a good
clickbait.
one. You had me there for a second.
That was the point. Now, with that being said, Tuesday, what would your tabloid headline be?
My headline would say Tuesday needs to get her ass back into the gym.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, wait. Let me clarify. So I'm not coming at this from like a body image perspective because I'm very happy,
Okay, good, good.
because I am someone who truly in her heart of hearts believes that she should be able to eat 3,000 calories worth of carbs and cheese every single day, not exercise, and never face any consequences. Apparently, this is not the case. I think it's really unfair, whatever. But I had a reality check that really humbled me last weekend. So you know how I've been redecorating a lot and
Yes.
a lot of furniture from IKEA. So when I first went into the store in person to pick out the furniture I wanted and went down to the warehouse to pick up the boxes, I realized I do not have the upper body strength to do that. So I asked somebody in the store to help me and get it on a cart, but then I realized even if I get this into the car, I'm not going to be able to get it out of the car, up the stairs, and into my room and all that. So
Right.
I was like, okay, let me just have everything delivered to my house. So I did that. I built what I could, but then I had this one giant wardrobe that I hired people through IKEA to come build for me. It was a two-person job, but then only one guy showed up. And at one point, he asked me for my help. And he's like, hey, I need you to lift up one end and I'm going to take the other end because we need to put this up against your wall. And I was like, oh God, okay, I'm gonna do my best, but I don't know how much help I can be. So he was like trying to coach me through it. He's like, no, no, you have to lift it a bit higher because you're gonna scratch up your carpet. I was like, dude, like I don't even care at this point. This is as good as it's gonna get. So we got it done. But yeah, so today I actually signed up for a 7-day free trial at a local
Oh
gym.
no. Oh
So
my
no,
God.
I'm being totally serious. I need to get my muscles back. And I was thinking about this, like before the pandemic, you and I used to consistently go to the gym together and we do all
Yep.
these crazy classes. Like, what was that class where we were like suspended? Like, we were on these ropes that were suspended from the ceiling. We were doing
Oh
push-ups
yes.
midair or something like that.
Yeah,
What
it
was
was the
that?
TRX. TRX.
TRX. Yeah,
Yep.
that was insane. That feels like a different person, like a different
Yes.
lifetime ago. So I don't
Absolutely. I
know if I'll
agree.
ever get back to doing that, but I'm just putting out there into the universe. I'm gonna get my life back on track fitness wise.
Get it, girl.
All right. Well, that's enough of that. Let's just get into this episode. Are you ready?
Ooh, I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today?
So, who is Jamie Lynn Spears? She was born on April 4th, 1991, in Mississippi, but was raised in a small town in Louisiana called Kentwood. She was named after her parents, her dad Jamie and her mom Lynn, and she's known for starring in the Nickelodeon show Zoey 101, but more widely known as being Britney Spears' younger sister.
According to her, she was an oops baby. She's almost 10 years younger than Brittany and 14 years younger than their brother, Brian. She says she always felt like an outsider because both her siblings have first names that start with the letter B and middle names that start with J. So Brittany is Brittany Jean, Brian is Brian James. Meanwhile, Jamie Lynn just has her parents' names thrown together and doesn't have the letter E at the end like her mom does, which apparently is significant in their family.
It definitely does seem like her name was an afterthought. So, just like Britney, Jamie Lynn always loved singing, dancing, and acting growing up. And her first on screen role was in Britney's movie Crossroads in 2002. Now, I know this is going to surprise some people, but I've never seen this movie. But when I looked it up, it got 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm not sure I'm going to ever want to watch it.
Morgan, hold on, hold on. Okay, no, we are absolutely watching this movie together. No, I promise, like for the culture, like we gotta do it. It's
Okay,
amazing.
I will do it.
So after Crossroads, Jamie Lynn was cast in a Nickelodeon TV show called All That, which marked the start of her rise to fame.
All That was a comedy sketch show that started in 1994 and was basically a kid version of Saturday Night Live, which, funny enough, Kenan Thompson, who got his start there, actually went on to star in SNL in 2003.
Jamie Lynn joined All That in its 8th season in 2002 as the show's youngest cast member, and the audience really embraced her. She received a lot of praise from critics too for her performance and her comedic timing.
Okay, but do you remember Trash and Fashion and her little granny bodyguard scenes? Iconic.
Oh my God. Okay. No, I completely forgot about those skits, but I'm getting flashbacks. But yeah, no, I remember now. I used to always look forward to when she was on screen. I also loved that one episode where Brittany was like the musical guest star. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
So, one thing to know about Nickelodeon shows is that many were produced by a man named Dan Schneider, and he would pick out the standout stars of his shows and create spin offs for them.
All that led to the creation of shows like Keenan and Kel and The Amanda Show, and The Amanda Show led to Drake and Josh, and so on.
So, he decided to do the same for Jamie Lynn. She left All That after the 9th season to star as the lead in her very own show called Zoey 101.
Can you believe that Zoey 101 premiered 17 years ago?
Are you
Like,
kidding?
I feel so old. Anyway, Zoey 101 was a teen drama that followed the lives of Zoe Brooks, her brother Dustin, and their friends as they navigated their way through everyday life at Pacific Coast Academy, or PCA, a fictional boarding school in California.
It was Nickelodeon's most expensive production and one of the highest rated TV shows in the 2000s, and we watched it pretty religiously.
Oh, yes, every Friday night. I remember wanting to be like Zoe. I mean, living away from home with your friends by the beach. Come on, doesn't get any better than that.
Yes, oh my God. So there were no parents, they all had cool cell phones and jet scooters, and there was always a focus on fun colors and fashion. And I feel like the aesthetics were just perfect. But turns out things weren't as perfect behind the scenes because there was some serious tension between Jamie Lynn and her co star Alexa Nicholas, who played Zoe's roommate Nicole. Things got so bad that Alexa was written off the show after just 2 seasons. There were rumors at the time that she was fired after having an argument with Britney Spears on set, but Alexa said she actually quit because she was being bullied.
In 2019, Alexa went on Instagram Live to talk about what happened all those years ago, and she said Britney, quote, ran at me and started berating me and telling me that she was going to make sure that nothing came of my career. Apparently, Britney was defending Jamie Lynn and told Alexa, quote, no one messes with my sister.
Now, this has been confirmed to be true, with Britney recently apologizing to Alexa about the incident after they both called out Jamie Lynn for what she wrote about them in her recent memoir. We'll get into that a bit later. So, we know now that Britney was under a lot of stress around that time and was starting to experience some serious issues, but I will say it's pretty severe to be a woman in your 20s yelling at and intimidating a preteen girl.
Seriously, I can't even imagine being that young and having a huge celebrity or even just someone's older sister berate me. Crazy. So then Alexa also went on to explain just how toxic the set was, saying that Jamie Lynn and Kristen Herrera, who played their other roommate Dana in the first season, started acting as a unit and leaving her out. She said they would call her an alien just because she was always so nice, and they made fun of her for smiling too much, which is stupid.
I mean, yeah, it seems like it was the typical older girls bullying the younger girl kind of situation because I believe Jamie Lynn and Kristen Herrera were a little bit older than
Yes.
Alexa, right?
Yep.
And I can imagine it was pretty traumatic for Alexa to have to work in that environment every single day, super long hours. But the reasons they were bullying her, I mean, it really drives home that at the end of the day, they were just kids. So, just as Jamie Lynn's career was taking off, she got pregnant by her high school boyfriend, Casey Aldridge, when she was 16. She gave an exclusive interview to OK Magazine to let the world know in December 2007, which was 4 months after she finished taping Zoey 101's last season.
Fans still blamed her as the reason why the show ended, though, and her pregnancy ruined her so called good girl reputation.
The magazine spread also got a lot of flack because people thought she was glamorizing teen pregnancy.
Of course, she was everywhere in the media, and the paparazzi wouldn't leave her alone, so she packed her bags and moved to Mississippi to give her daughter a chance at a new life.
Jamie Lynn revealed this year that her parents told her to get an abortion, but when she refused, they organized to have her sent to a home for pregnant teens so she could carry the baby to term and then put it up for adoption. But she threatened to run away and get emancipated from her parents, and then was ultimately able to do things on her own terms.
In an interview with Nylon in 2020, she recalled her thought process when she found out that she was pregnant. She said, quote, so I got me a little house in Mississippi. I put a big gate up around it, and I was like, I'm going to stay here, raise my baby, and figure this out because this is real life. I've put myself in this situation. I'm not condoning it or saying it's right, but these are the cards that I have to play, which is pretty dang mature of her.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how scary it must feel to deal with all of that when you're just a kid yourself. And I think she handled herself pretty well, and it's great that things ended up working out for her.
Unfortunately, her and her then boyfriend broke things off, and after giving birth to her daughter Maddie in 2008, she raised her on her own.
Jamie Lynn has since gotten married to a longtime friend who is also named Jamie, and they had another daughter together. She started recording country music in 2011 and made her return to TV in 2019, and even tried to make a Zoey 101 reboot happen, but it didn't, and she hasn't risen back to the level of fame that she had in her Nickelodeon days.
Now, fast forward several years later, and she's back in the public eye with a lot of controversy surrounding her name.
Yes. So, of course, her memoir called Things I Should Have Said was published in January this year, pretty quickly after Britney's conservatorship ended. So, if you want a more in depth read of her book, the Celebrity Memoir Book Club podcast did a great episode covering it, so you should definitely check that out. But we're going to go ahead and give you guys a brief overview of Britney's conservatorship because it's pretty central to the memoir's controversy. So, for those who don't know, a conservatorship is essentially a legal form of guardianship over people who can't make decisions for themselves, such as people who have dementia. And Britney was put under conservatorship of her dad in 2008, and for 13 years, her finances and her personal life were completely controlled by Jamie Spears and people he hired.
This all started because in 2007, Britney reached a breaking point with her mental health. I'm sure we all remember when she shaved her head and smashed a photographer's car window with an umbrella. And she also spent some time in the hospital undergoing psychiatric assessments. Her family said this incident led them to believe she was incapable of making her own decisions and put the conservatorship into place because it was, quote, necessary to protect Britney in every sense of the word. They said her life was in shambles and she was in physical, emotional, mental, and financial distress.
Jamie Spears also cited Britney having dementia as the reason for the conservatorship. So the courts granted it, and in turn, Britney lost her right to make financial and career decisions, all her communications were monitored, and she was watched by surveillance cameras 24/7. She was also forced to take lithium, and forced to get an IUD implant because her dad didn't want her to have kids.
Oh my gosh.
Why? Because getting pregnant would mean she'd have to take a break from working. Yes, so Britney, who allegedly had dementia at only 27 years old, was kept working nonstop and made millions for her dad and the beneficiaries. Meanwhile, she couldn't even buy a pair of sneakers without getting permission from her dad, and apparently the court record stated that she couldn't even decide which color to paint her kitchen cabinets.
I literally have no words.
Right? Like she had zero autonomy, and her own dad worked her like a slave. Like it's disgusting.
And after these details came to light in 2021, the conservatorship drew tons of media attention and outcry from thousands of supporters of the Free Britney movement. This years-long nightmare finally came to an end for Britney in November of 2021, so just a couple months ago, when her conservatorship was finally terminated. And just 2 months later, Jamie Lynn decided that this was the perfect time to release her memoir.
The timing is definitely suspicious, and many say this was Jamie Lynn's attempt to clear her name because at one point she was actually named in the conservatorship as a trustee of Britney's estate. So in the book, she says she had no involvement, but she also weirdly defends the conservatorship, saying their dad stepped up when Britney needed help and that it was for her sister's own good.
She also reiterated this in interviews with Good Morning America and the Call Her Daddy podcast this past January. In both interviews, she said she didn't understand what was happening when the conservatorship was put into place because she was only 17 at the time. I mean, in my opinion, if you're mature enough to have a baby at 17, you're old enough to understand what's going on with your sister.
Agreed. And I mean, she also told Good Morning America she only knows as much about it now as she did back then. There is no way she's that oblivious. Then she said she went out of her way to offer Britney the resources and contacts she needed to end the conservatorship.
In the Call Her Daddy interview, she said she told Britney, quote, all she had to do was go live out of state for 6 months and the conservatorship would be absolved. Essentially, she's just blaming Britney for allowing the conservatorship to go on as long as it did, which is absolutely not okay.
What I don't understand is how she's also pushing this narrative that she was just as hurt and victimized as Britney was growing up. And I imagine that she does carry a lot of trauma because she describes their dad as being an abusive alcoholic and she blames their mom for keeping him in their lives. But unlike Britney, Jamie Lynn was actually able to make choices for herself, have a family, live the life she wants. And when it comes to talking about Britney's situation, she shows no real empathy or understanding and throws her under the bus. And you can even see her stiffen up and become defensive in the interviews.
Plus, on the Call Her Daddy podcast, Jamie Lynn showed private messages sent between her and Britney as proof that she was supportive of her sister. I mean, why not keep your family business private? Why is it so important for you to get the public support at your sister's expense? I don't get it.
So, if hearing this hasn't already left a sour taste in your mouth, that's pretty much why so many people are upset with Jamie Lynn right now. But there were also three major issues with the memoir itself that only added fuel to the fire.
So, for one, the title of the book was a hot topic when the publishing company first posted a photo of it on their website in July of 2021. It was originally titled I Must Confess, which is obviously a line from Britney's debut single, Baby One More Time. And this got a lot of backlash because it seemed like she was just trying to profit off the conservatorship drama. Jamie Lynn denies this was ever the title, but no one's buying that story.
Well, someone on Twitter actually shared a picture they took of the memoir at Target, and the price label on the shelf shows that the title was I Must Confess. So clearly it was changed because everyone got upset with her.
Unbelievable.
Then in the memoir, Jamie Lynn tells a story of one day when Britney was feeling scared and unsafe, then allegedly grabbed a knife and locked them both in a room. But Britney denies this ever happened.
Britney shared a post on Twitter and Instagram on January 14th that said, quote, Jamie Lynn, congrats, babe. You've stooped to a whole new level of low. I've never been around you ever with a knife, nor would I even ever think to do such.
Britney continued to call out Jamie Lynn for fabricating other stories, like an alleged incident where Jamie Lynn claims Britney got all up in her face and cussed her out in front of her daughters. Britney even publicly stated on Instagram that Jamie Lynn lied in her book about her former co-star Alexa Nicholas.
Yes, so this last situation we'll look at involves Alexa. It's pretty terrible and really shows us Jamie Lynn's true colors. So in her memoir, Jamie Lynn says she and Alexa became fast friends and had multiple sleepovers. But then Alexa began bullying her and spreading rumors that Jamie Lynn smelled bad and had lice. So then Britney came to the Zoey 101 set one day to protect her sister. They organized for a production assistant to tell Alexa that Britney wanted to speak to her, and that led to the confrontation.
Jamie Lynn also wrote that Alexa's mom would walk around the set like she owned the place and wanted Alexa to be the star of the show instead. So, in response, Alexa took to Instagram on January 13th to clear her name, saying that she was pretty surprised to see Jamie Lynn, quote, lying up a storm in her memoir because she thought they were actually on good terms now. She revealed Jamie Lynn had actually reached out to her and apologized around the time she was playing the Zoey 101 reboot in 2020.
Alexa even shared the apology Jamie Lynn texted her on September 2nd, 2020. Also, just to note, Alexa was pregnant at this time. So it read, "Hi Alexa, this is Jamie Lynn. First off, congrats on your baby news. So happy for you. I really wanted to reach out to you because I do not want any bad energy between us, and I want to apologize for any part I may have played in anything that has hurt you in our past. I know we were children last time we spoke, and we weren't capable of handling any conflict or misunderstanding the way that we should. Now that we are both adults, I'm hoping we will have the chance to move past any negativity that we had, and I would love for you to be a part of some things me and the cast of Zoey are doing." So she went on to explain the details of a music video they were shooting, but ultimately Alexa was left out of plans and wasn't invited to any promotional events.
Alexa further clarified the timeline of interactions between her and Jamie Lynn in an interview she gave with a YouTuber named Sloan on January 16th. She told Sloan that Jamie Lynn sent her a beautiful gift for her baby after the apology, and that she accepted the gesture and followed Jamie Lynn on Instagram because she was more than willing to put the past behind them. But when the details of Britney conservatorship came out last year, she unfollowed Jamie Lynn because she felt sad for Britney and she wanted to distance herself from the situation.
Then Jamie Lynn reached out to her again just a little over a week before the memoir was published and asked Alexa if she had the same mailing address because she wanted to send her a gift. And now looking back, she believes Jamie Lynn was planning to send her a copy of the memoir.
Which is honestly psychotic because what Jamie Lynn wrote in her book completely contradicts what Alexa says actually happened. She told Sloan she was bullied relentlessly by Jamie Lynn and the other cast members. She was only invited to one sleepover party, okay? But excluded from everything else the cast did together. And apparently Jamie Lynn wouldn't even say hi to her on set. Alexa says she never heard any rumors about lice or smelling bad, and that despite how childish and ridiculous it all seems now, she doesn't understand why Jamie Lynn didn't just ask her about it, or at least name the person who allegedly fed her these rumors.
She also said that her and her mom are deeply upset that her mom's name got dragged into the mess because she never once pushed for Alexa to be at the star of Zoey 101. She said all the moms and actors understood it was Jamie Lynn's show and that they would sometimes talk about the possibility of a spin-off, but that's it. If anything, Lynn Spears had the most involvement and control of the moms on set, according to Dan Schneider himself.
And when asked about the situation with Britney, Alexa said the production assistant who came to get her actually told her and her mom that she was needed in hair and makeup. She was then led into a trailer where Jamie Lynn and Britney were waiting for her, and Jamie Lynn immediately ran away to hide in the back when Alexa arrived. Alexa said Britney was her idol at the time too, so to be yelled at by her out of nowhere caused her so much stress that she started throwing up.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
Seriously.
But it's understood now that Jamie Lynn likely manipulated Britney into believing Alexa was being nasty to her. In a follow-up with Sloan, Alexa confirmed Britney reached out privately to apologize for what happened, and she even posted an Instagram story on January 31st that said, "Yesterday, my childhood wound finally healed."
If there's one positive outcome of this memoir, it was Alexa finally getting closure, for sure. And it says a lot about her character, I think, that she was able to put her trauma aside to support Britney throughout the conservatorship. She was and continues to be very vocal about Britney deserving justice.
Also, have you noticed how this girl looks exactly the same now as she did back then?
Yeah, you age gracefully when you're unproblematic.
Definitely. So what do you make of all this? I mean, obviously the timing of the book is horrendous.
Exactly. I mean, the biggest question has been why now? She insists her memoir is about telling her own story and it's not about Britney, but it was announced at the peak of the conservatorship legal battles and published so soon after its end that it just seems like such an obvious, cheap cash grab.
And if she really was against the conservatorship, she would have straight up said it in her book or in any of the interviews she gave. I found that she danced around a lot and nothing was super clear. I mean, she's trying to defend herself, but in both her interviews, she basically just says, "I don't know," or "I was too young" to many of the questions asked. And she even says, quote, "I didn't know anything different. I didn't know what was right and what was wrong."
Yeah, I have a feeling she was coached on what answers she could or couldn't give, and her memoir was probably heavily edited to paint her dad and Britney's old team in a good light. But I really can't get over how she says she believes their dad did the best he could to help Britney. Like, what? Like, she was literally drugged and kept isolated against her will, and Britney was worked to the bone just so everybody else could profit off of her.
Yeah, and it seems like she cares a lot more about getting the wrong people's approval than she does about doing what's right. And obviously it's very, very evident that she holds resentment toward Britney.
Yes, agreed. Like in the interviews and her memoir, she says she looked up to Britney as a mother figure, and it does come across that she was frustrated with how her parents would tell her she couldn't do anything that might quote unquote upset Britney. So I feel like when Britney had her breakdown, Jamie Lynn felt like she lost the one pillar of strength in her life, or the one person that she really looked up to. But she blames Britney for this. Like it seems like she doesn't have the emotional intelligence to be able to put herself in another person's shoes. Her lack of empathy is seriously astonishing, and I'd go as far to say it's either because she's severely stupid or severely narcissistic. I'm sorry, but there's no in between.
Yep, agreed, 100%. So, I mean, there you have it, the rise and fall of Jamie Lynn Spears. I know for me personally, I'll never be able to look at Zoey 101 the same ever again.
Oh, me neither. But thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate you sticking with us through this heavier topic this week. So if you haven't already, make sure to connect with us on Instagram at Naughty Girls Pod and let us know your takes on this whole ordeal. We want to hear from you.
And we'll catch you guys again in 2 weeks in our next